Welcome to Blog Talk Radio in high fidelity.
People tell me every day love is gonna come my way, searching for clues that I hope to find. Want something that's gonna last. I wanna live and forget the past. I know this change is gonna do me good. I know this change is gonna do me good. Even though it hurts me now, I know this change will do me good. If you got a clue, then let me know. Don't hold back now. Give me a sign. Tell me something really good. Like live your dreams, you know you should. I know this change is gonna do me good. I know this change is gonna do me good.
Aloha. Good evening. This is Aloha Live out of Flagstaff, Arizona, with Spiritual Image Productions on Blog Talk Radio and FreeConferenceMeeting.com, and Ustream, establishing and maintaining right relationships through human bodies. Aloha and welcome to tonight's Aloha Live show, interviewing with Andy and Jonathan Goldman, all the way out of, now you said Colorado, is that correct?
That is correct, sir. We are in Boulder, Colorado.
That's what I thought you said. And aloha, Andy.
Aloha, Andrew.
and thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, all the way from Flagstaff, Arizona. And believe it or not, it's been pouring for like about the last hour or so, and literally pouring. And I think it slowed down a little bit, but I think it was raining cats and dogs. And it's actually been raining here all year long. People are just like, I think people are just getting tired of it. But what can I say? That when you want nice green shrubbery out here, that's what it takes, lots of water. Anyhow, tonight we're going to be talking about the humming effect, sound healing for health and happiness. And just to let you know, in the humming effect, sound healing for health and happiness by Jonathan and Andi Goldman, they state that humming is one of the simplest and yet most profound sounds we can make. If you have a voice and can speak, you can hum. Research has shown humming to be much more than a self-soothing sound. It affects us on a physical level, reduces stress, induces calmness, and enhances sleep, as well as lowers the heart rate and blood pressure, and produces powerful neurochemicals such as oxytocin, the love hormone. In this guide to conscious humming, Jonathan and Andi Goldman show that you do not need to be a musician or a singer to benefit from sound healing practices. All you need to do is hum. They provide conscious humming and breathing exercises from simple to advanced, complete with online examples, allowing you to experience the powerful vibratory resonance that humming can create and harness in its healing benefits for mind, body, and spirit. They explore the science behind sound healing, revealing how self-created sound can literally rearrange molecular structure and how humming can not only help with stress levels, sleep, and blood pressure, but also increases lymphatic circulation and melatonin production, releases endorphins, creates new neural pathways in the brain, and releases nitric oxide, a neurotransmitter fundamental to health and well-being. The authors show how sound can act as a triggering mechanism for the manifestation of your conscious intentions. They also examine the spiritual use of humming, including its uses as a sonic yoga technique and its role in many world traditions such as Om, AUM, or HUM, Hindu and Tibetan traditions. Jonathan Goldman, with a master's in arts, is an award-winning musician, composer, writer, teacher, and chant master, and authority on sound healing and a pioneer in the field of harmonics. He's also author of several books, including Healing Sound, and the founder and director of Sound Healers Association. Andi Goldman, also with a master's in arts, is a licensed psychotherapist specializing in holistic counseling and sound therapy, the director of Healing Sound seminars, and co-director of Sound Healers Association. Together, Jonathan and Andi have dedicated their lives to the path of service, helping awaken and empower others with the ability of sound to heal and transform. They lecture and give workshops all over the world, and again, they do live in Boulder, Colorado. Jonathan and Andi Goldman and the Humming Effect. For more on them, you can go to www.healingsounds.com, healingsounds.com. And we're going to come back and talk to them in a few minutes. And we brought you on before, Jonathan, but I guess there's more that you have to tell us. So we're going to come back and talk to you in a couple minutes. Now, I want to give a big aloha to all of our underwriters that help make this show happen from week to week, month to month, year to year, beginning with mahadikini.com, Mahadikini Lore at www.mahadikini.com. Mahadikini Lore's life has been a personal journey exploring sexuality and spirituality for over 20 years. She's a certified tantric counselor and tantric healer and a certified mind sound teacher. Mahadikini Lore is also a graduate of Margot Anand's year-long skydancing Tantra facilitating program, as well as a current member of the American Association of Sex Educators, Counselors, and Therapists Club, as well as a charter member of the Association of Sexual Energy Professionals. She regularly attends trainings and conferences to keep current with the latest research and information on sexual education. And then we also have the 90-Day Ascension Journey at www.90dayascensionjourney.com. When you sign up for the 90-Day Ascension Journey, you will be facilitated with defining and redefining your soul true life purpose. You will be assisted with finding out what ascension means to you. On this journey, you will be provided with tools, techniques, and assistance to empower you to connect and reconnect with yourself, emotions, and beings in your mind, body, and spirit. Through a universal soul-centered process, you can go through a lifelong transformation that will allow you to move forward with your endeavors and never look back if you dare. And right now, if you go to www.90dayascensionjourney.com, you can sign up for the email list there. And once you confirm from your email, you can download the book version of this. Last year, I was inspired to write the book to supplement this journey. And so for just the fee of giving us your email address, you can download it in PDF file and read it for free. And if you got any more questions, of course, you can always get a hold of me at spiritualimixproductions@yahoo.com. And then finally, we do have Anobate at www.spiritualimageproductions.anobite, and that's ANOBITE.com. That is a French word, ANOBITE. With over 25,000 scientific papers published on colostrum, a 90-day guarantee, and the winner of the Healthy Living People's Choice Award twice over, Anobate focuses on helping people with weight loss, anti-aging, heart disease, diabetes, depression, high blood pressure, asthma, allergies, rheumatoid arthritis, inflammation, gout, lupus, fibromyalgia, Crohn's disease, cancer, ulcers, polio virus, chronic infections, digestive disorders, Alzheimer's disease, autoimmune disease, thymus gland, mental clarity, maintenance and protection of the immune system, and finally synthesis and repair of RNA and DNA, and much, much more. So if you want to check it out, again, you can go to www.spiritualimageproductions.anovak.com. And so in the meantime, we have Andy and Jonathan Goldman here now, all the way from Boulder, Colorado. Now, if you guys can just kind of give us a bio of who you guys are, and I know you've been on the show before, Jonathan, but again, if you can, for those that don't know you, if you guys can give us a bio of who you are, how you got to doing what you're doing, and then we'll talk about your book thereafter. How's that?
It sounds great, Andrew, and thank you for giving me first this opportunity, and then I'm going to pass it over to Andy, and we can find out who she is, and then we can find out who we are. But anyway, listen, for me, the journey really began right around somewhere in the very, very late 70s when I was playing in a rock and roll band, a pretty well-known rock and roll band in the Boston area. And I stepped on stage after the band had gone on break, and I can't actually tell you what happened. I like to say that the light of God struck me, one night when I was on stage, because that really is the only actual legitimate answer I can give you to what happened, because I looked out on the audience as I'm strapping on my guitar and I'm beginning to sing and play with the band. I was the lead guitarist and also the lead singer, and I became aware that the music that I was creating was helping induce an ambiance of negativity and violence in the club. Now, Andrew, mind you, the alcohol and the other intoxicants that the people were imbibing and were also helping create this, negativity, if you like. But, I realized that the music that I was creating was helping this as well. And please, mind you, I've been performing professionally for about 15 years. And I'd been playing with pretty well-known people. And, the reality was that I'd never had this thought about how the music that I was creating, what it was doing to the audience. And please understand, I'm not, I was playing in a rock and roll band, but I'm not at all saying that rock and roll is bad, but it was the type of rock and roll that at the particular time, in the particular place that I was doing, that wasn't, shall we say, particularly positive. And I had the thought, what if what if music can make people feel good? But I first had that thought, and I've never had that thought in 15 years. And then about a week later, that thought began to just shift a little bit, and it was like, what if sound could be used to heal? And all of a sudden, I basically realized that I had, to make a dedication in my life to doing this. And what was so interesting is that particular weekend, I don't know if you remember Billboard magazine, but it was the #1 music magazine, and still is. And an album that I had put out was done as a pick hit of the week in Billboard magazine. And I realized that, boy, I could really pursue this path of rock and roll and entertainment, or I could get into the path of trying to understand how sound could be used to heal. And lo and behold, I made that decision, and about a week later, I ended up taking a workshop with this incredible woman by the name of Sarah Benson, who became a dear friend of myself and my wife, Andy. In fact, we call her the Divine Mother of Sound Healing, and she's now working off the angelic realms, but we can feel her presence even now. And she basically became a guide for me. And then I went to Lesley University, and I got a master's degree researching the uses of sound and music for healing. And then I got a book contract from that, and I wrote my first book, Healing Sounds, and I formed the Sound Healers Association, which is the oldest and largest association of people working with sound. And it has just been a continued journey. And then I met Andi, but first we're going to hear about who and what she is. Is that okay?
And who am I? Oh, this will be great. So, Andrew, I think that my journey probably isn't quite as colorful as Jonathan's was, but at any rate, being a psychotherapist, a holistic psychotherapist, one of the main ways that I worked with people was through using expressive therapies. One of my dearest friends of many, many years, 30, 40 years, was a man that was very involved with sound by the name of Don Campbell. He wrote the Mozart Effect, and he was a dear friend of mine, and he now, too, is in the angelic realm. And so I had sort of on the periphery of my holistic psychotherapy practice, I worked a little bit with sound and would go to some workshops and so forth. And about almost 25 years ago, I did meet Jonathan, and I met him through Dawn, and we developed a beautiful relationship. And of course, we've been together now, for many, many years. And because I work with expressive therapies and had some knowledge of sound, was very interested in, working with people in any way possible to help them to heal and to help them to, move through issues in their lives that were holding them back. And so I started working with Jonathan, and, we looked at ways that we could combine his pioneering work with sound, and he is a true pioneer in this, combine his work with my background and my work with holistic psychotherapy. And we started, first of all, we decided to write a book together, which we did, called Chakra Frequencies, and we started teaching together, utilizing much of the material from Chakra Frequencies. And of course, we've been doing this now ever since, 1995.
Right now, I want to just jump in and toot Andi's horn, because Andrew, I know you've heard of the world of coaching. Coaching is pretty big now. A lot of people are coaches, and I like to say that Andi is the godmother of coaching, because back in the early 90s, she had something called telecounsel, which was the world's first telephone counseling service. And she would have clients call her up, and basically she would be able to, if you like, do therapy with them over the phone. And first of all, you really need to have a really good ear to be able to kind of do a reading of somebody and understand what's going on with them. So I think that's a form of sound healing. But telecounsel was literally, she was on TV, and she was written up in the New York Times and all sorts of other places. And then when she met me, we decided to work together, so she gave up telecounsel, but that then evolved into the world of coaching. So Andi's work still is vibrating and living on there. Thank you, Andi, and thank you, coaching.
Right. So now, okay, so let's take a breather, or just take a step back. First of all, Jonathan, where did you grow up at? And were your family, were they musicians, or how did you get involved into music to begin with?
Well, that's a really interesting question, because I really come from a family of doctors, medical doctors. My father, my brother, my grandfather, all medical doctors. And in fact, but what happened was, and Andrew, I can remember this so well, I was probably 13 or 14 years old, but I was watching the Ed Sullivan Show, and this group came on called the Beatles, and my life changed. And I realized I wanted to teach myself how to play guitar And then I basically, at the time, I lived in a place called West Orange, New Jersey. Okay.
Oh, New Jersey.
And at the time,
Okay.
maybe a couple of other guitarists in New Jersey, and at least in West Orange, and we played together, and we formed a band together. And here's a hoot. I mean, I don't know if this is really true, but I really believe it is. My memory of those times is not as good as it could be, but I remember the other guitarist saying, "Hey, you remember when we were in that Battle of the Bands?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You know who's in that other band that we beat?" I said, "No, who?" He said, "Bruce Springsteen." I said, "Really?" Okay. So I think that's probably true. Now, I'd no way compare myself to Springsteen now because he's a brilliant musician. I don't know what sort of sound healer he is, but certainly his music can be very healing.
Got it.
Anyway, so I began playing music, and I continued playing music because it just really felt good. And in fact, playing music is, I highly recommend it to everyone who's listening, but I'm going to say this one thing immediately after that, which is that we wrote The Humming Effect simply because, which is Andy and my latest book, simply because a lot of people, ultimately, I like to think that I'm a bit of a grandfather in the world of sound healing, and a lot of people think that in order to be a sound healer, you either need to be a vocalist or a trained musician, or you need to know something about music, and this is not true. So about 4 years ago, I can tell you, it was 4 years ago, we said to each other, let us write a book about the easiest, simplest sound, a sound that everybody can make. You don't need to have any sort of musical ability. You don't need to have any sort of voice or anything. What is the easiest sound we can make? We looked at each other and we went,
hum. Oh my gosh, let's write a book on humming, because we knew that if we could somehow reach more people that could open up and be educated in the world of sound and to know how powerful sound and sound healing can be, what would be the way to do that? And we thought everybody can hum. And so the humming effect was born.
And we spent 4 years writing it, Andrew, and the first chapter, it's like, oh boy, if you think about it, how can you get people to take the idea of humming as a healing modality seriously? Well, the first chapter in our book is filled with what they call peer review, or strict scientific and medical information on how sound can be used to heal. And we literally spent a really long time going through all these different medical journals, scientific journals, etc., to basically find out some of the things that sound can do. And Andy?
Well, gosh, Andrew, in the beginning of the program, you mentioned several of them, but one of the things that we hope people will begin to sort of understand is that when we're working with our own self-created sounds, such as through humming, there are many physiological benefits that are actually occurring in our bodies. You mentioned some of them earlier, such as the increased oxygen in our cells. By humming, we can lower our blood pressure and our heart rate, and it increases levels of melatonin. And now this one for me was very interesting because I had come across some research where they were beginning to sort of test out using melatonin as an antidepressant. And I thought, aha, how interesting, because when we are humming, we begin to feel better. And also the same with oxytocin.
And melatonin also helps us sleep. And it's that they've proven that it's literally assists people who are in pain, people who are have chronic illnesses, just humming for even 5 minutes. Now that's extraordinary.
But I think that the important thing that I want to mention is that it also releases nitric oxide. And this is a molecule that is associated with promoting healing. And it is Jonathan's favorite molecule. And he
It's
always
my
likes
favorite
to talk
molecule,
about.
Andrew.
Jonathan, tell them about nitric
so
oxide.
nitric oxide is not nitrous oxide, which is great. It's great in the dentist's office, etc., and we love nitric oxide, and that's NO2. Nitric oxide is NO, just the molecule NO. And it literally, what it is, it's a vascular dilator. So it literally causes our circulatory system to expand and the blood to go through it more easily. And because of this, oh my goodness gracious, one of the first researches that they did with that was they found that when people hummed, the nitric oxide was released in their sinus cavities. And of course, if you have a stuffed up sinus cavity, all you need to do is hum, and it's like sonic wristband.
And also, back to the release of melatonin, when I'm having difficulty falling asleep, I will start humming. And that is just a beautiful way for me to go into sleep. And I know that when we are doing something as simple as humming, and Andrew, we like to talk about conscious humming, because once we bring it around to consciously humming, we are doing it in a whole different way. and this is it's almost like we're giving ourselves an internal massage.
And one of the things about
so what I want to do right now is I want to go ahead and play some music, and then I want to come back and reconnect again, and then go from there. So what I want to do is I want to play some music by Darius Lux, a song called what was it? No Problem. I want to send out love, blessings, healing, dangers of light and love to you and Andy, Jonathan, and to all your family and friends, to myself and all my family and friends, to the President of the United States. He needs all the help he can get, and all his entourage, and to all those people that are working with healing people, healing themselves, or whatever, and of course to all the kids and animals and the plants on the planet, especially the ones in need concern. Anybody you guys want to add to that?
I think all sentient beings on this planet could use a little bit of vibratory assistance at this time.
Right.
Even the avatars. We are all one, don't you think?
All sentient beings, be free of suffering.
To everyone else in need and concern, we will be back. No Problem by Darius Lux from his album. Acoustic Spirit and Guitar, or Acoustic Spirit and Soul, or Soul and Spirit. We'll be back.
What are you doing? What do you say? Where do you work and how do you play? Where you heading and hey, where have you been? What do you like and who do you know? What do you see and where do you go? What are you looking at and coming out? What's looking at you? And still it's okay. We'll do the very best we can. It's alright. We're moving in the right direction. It's okay. Doing better than before. Tell me, is that all or is there more? The problem is there is no problem. It's plain for all to see. Situations right and wrong depends on you and me. The problem is there is no problem. I'm gonna let it be. I don't want no drama, mama. Rather be happy. Oh, what do you buy and what do you sell? Who do you kiss and what do you tell? And what are you doing with your life? What do you eat and what do you think? How do you feel and what did you drink? What is wrong and somebody please tell me what is right? And said it's okay. Seems like we are in control. It's alright. We're moving in the right direction. It's okay. One of these days we're gonna break the mold. Now tell me, is there more or is that all? Problem is there is no problem. It's plain for all to see. Situations right and wrong depends on you and me. The problem is there is no problem. I'm gonna let it be. I don't want no drama, mom. I'm gonna be happy. What are we all here fighting for? Is it the right to just have more? When has enough go way too much? And when too much still not enough? Whatever it is, it will be done. Whoever you are, you can't go wrong. Whenever it is, you realize how it is to be surprised. That's problem is there is no problem. It's plain for all to see. The situation's right and wrong depends on you and me. Problem is there is no problem. I'm gonna let it be. I don't need no drama, mom. I'm gonna be happy. So the problem is there is no problem. It's plain for all to see. Situation's right and wrong depends on you and me. I said the problem is there is no problem. I'm gonna let it be. I don't need no drama, mom. I'm gonna be happy. No problem.
Nice, nice. Again, we're back. This is Andrew Aloha live out of Flagstaff, Arizona, on Spiritual Instructions, Blog Talk Radio, and freeconferencing.com. And Ustream, establishing and maintaining relationships through human value. Tonight we're talking with Jonathan and Andi Goldman out of Boulder, Colorado, with their latest book, The Humming Effect, Sound Healing for Health and Happiness. And so far, we've learned that Jonathan grew up in Jersey and somehow was watching one of those shows, television shows about music, and decided, well, he wants to get into music. So now, Jonathan, you got into playing. You were playing a guitar, is what I heard you say. At least that's what I remember. And you were one of the few guitarists there in town, and you started your own band. I guess you were in a number of bands. And then you now, did you go to college after that, or what happened after that?
Well, I ended up going to Boston University, and I actually have a degree in filmmaking, Andrew. And I actually won the award for the best student film doing a year after me, a guy by the name of Howard Stern, who's a radio guy. He won the best student. He went to BU as well and won the best student film. But what I did was a visual interpretation of the Beatles' Dear Prudence, and it was quite an honor. So I was in film school, and actually this is on a whole another level. I don't even know if Andy knows this, but I literally, in one of my bands, we had a couple of songs that were on MTV when it first started out. So I've always been really interested in the relationship between sound and music. And there's some extraordinary things that are now happening with the younger folks in terms of what they're doing with sound and music, and it really, really does my heart such good. Last weekend, for example, I was at a place in Colorado. It was called the Arise Festival, and there were about 10,000 young people there. And Andrew, I got to tell you, these young folks, they had not only great music, but really, really high evolutionary consciousness. and it really gave me hope for the future.
Nice. So now one of the things that's happening, Jonathan and Andy, is that they're connecting color to sound and music, and they're also connecting, I believe, as David Hawkins, who came up with a system to measure the frequency of different words like gratitude and love and hate and all these words. So people are using 528 hertz frequency in their music purposely to emanate the energy of love, or 720 hertz frequency to emanate the energy of gratitude, and so forth. So they're being more conscious about how they're putting music out there and what they're putting out there, and it is making a difference. I don't know. There's still a lot of room for discovery and research and experience to answer that right now. But anyhow, it's like that. So now, Andy, where did you come from, and how did you get to where you're at now?
Well, Andrew, I actually am originally from Minnesota.
Oh, you're a Minnesota person, okay.
Yeah. However, my family moved to Tennessee when I was in the 5th grade, and I grew up in Chattanooga, Tennessee, Andrew.
No kidding.
And yeah, so I'm a Southern girl, although I have been, not living in Tennessee for many years. But anyway, so yeah, I went to the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, and then I got my master's degree at Boulder College here in Boulder in psychology and counseling. And so I've just been on this journey just my whole life really has been centered around learning and experiencing new things, and of course I was very drawn to psychotherapy and counseling and being able to work with people to empower them and to educate them about their lives and how they can live a more balanced and healthier existence. And it takes a little bit of work on a deep emotional level, and that's why I love sound so much, because we have our voice, and that to me, Andrew, is so empowering, because when we are out of balance, when we are totally stressed out, and things are crazy, which happens a lot in our current culture, one of the things that we can do is something as simple as conscious humming. And of course,
so now, Andy, what I also want to know is, now, what did your parents do, and how now? Were you also a musician, or how did sound start to come into your life to help people with sound as well?
Well, Andrew, I play the harp. I'm a musician on that level, and sound came into my life to help people really and truly. When I first opened my psychotherapy practice and was utilizing expressive therapies, and my good friend Don Campbell, would introduce me to different people and different ways of working with sound, and then of course, when I met Jonathan, that's really when my work with sound blossomed. And
so how long were you playing harp for? When did you start playing harp?
I started playing harp probably about, I was an adult for sure, and it was an instrument that I had always just longed to play.
And it's a really hard instrument to play.
It's very hard.
No, I understand that. I hear you, and that's why I'm asking. Because just last week I was at this experiential festival. I don't know what you call it, but anyhow, they had a couple of harpists there, and there's got one guy, I can't remember his name. I've actually had him on here before, but anyhow, he was there. And he just played some amazing harp music. It was just incredible. And I think his name was Paul. But anyhow, I hadn't heard him in a long time, and it seemed like it had improved even more so now than before, and it sounded even more amazing. So now, Go ahead.
And playing the harp can be so very, very healing. It is a very difficult instrument to play, but I love it so much that I don't look at it like it's a hard instrument. But what it does, it is a very healing. I can play and just play for anybody, and it'll just soothe the soul. And that's, I think, what really helped me to gravitate toward that particular instrument.
Now, when you were growing up in Tennessee, I believe I heard you say, what did your parents do? Did they play music too, or how did you get involved with music?
Well, there's always been music in my life, Andrew, and my father was such a character, and he would wake us up with Mario Lanza, and he'd play Bridge Over the River Kwai. So we always had music in our house, and so I just can't imagine life really without music.
And what kind of work did your parents do? Your dad, your mom?
My dad was in advertising and worked with Ted Turner. I don't know if he started CNN. And my mom was a homemaker and a Girl Scout leader, and she was always with us, and there was a lot of love in my family growing up.
Well, we call them home engineers, the mom.
Home engineers.
It takes a lot to be a mom, right?
Yeah, and Andrew, my mom is, as we speak, 94 years old, and I call her every single day.
Amazing.
She's a beautiful, beautiful soul. So
now the harpist that I was telling you about earlier is Peter Sturdy. I don't know if you've heard of him, but they were having this wing being out in Sedona, I believe last week, and Peter Sturdy played as part of this sound heating. I don't know if have you seen or heard about the sound heating? I don't know if they're chairs. I don't know how they call them, but you go on these things and they vibrate, and you put on these earphones and you hear music, different types of music. Again, the music is purposely, consciously put together so that it can induce different emotions, different sounds, and different feelings, love or whatever. And it was just an experience, so it was pretty interesting. So, and as part of the process, Peter certainly played the harp as well. But go ahead.
And in fact, we have one of those chairs, Andrew, and it's just so healing. And of course, with Jonathan's music, which he's an award-winning composer of healing music, so we utilize a lot of his meditation music for healing on our sound chair. But it's so interesting because boy, I can just have a backache, or I can just be having a day where, oh my gosh, I just need to have just a little bit of emotional support, whatever. I get on that sound chair and, oh my gosh, I listen to Jonathan's music, and it vibrates, throughout my body. I've got the earphones on, and it is just phenomenal.
Andrew, gotta tell you this. Okay, there are two ways that sound basically is known as a healing modality. The first thing is called psychoacoustics, and that means the sound is going into your ears and into your brain and affects your heartbeat, your respiration, your brain waves, your entire nervous system, and that occurred like through the music that we were listening to before. And I don't know if we're going to have a chance to listen to any the music that I got queued up, but it doesn't matter. When we listen to music, we get a psychoacoustic effect. But when you're on a chair, such as you were, or a table such as you were just talking about, the way that the sound works is called vibroacoustics, and it means it goes into you on a cellular level and affects and influences you and causes all these major shifts and change down to your DNA. Now, ask me what the most powerful sound that a human being can make that is vibroacoustic.
Well, first of all, that makes a lot of sense, because if the cellular and molecular structure of your body has all the information, or has all the memories, has all the past, present, and future of who you are in your skin, in your body, in your bones, wherever, then it remembers all that. And if you take sound and help to shift those energies, shift those memories to something more positive or healing or helpful or beneficial, then your whole body's going to feel that effect, not just that one cellular molecular cell memory. And the whole body's going to be affected. So now, what is the most powerful sound that you can make, that, or humming sound that you make, that would be highly effective for your body system? I think it's Om, but I don't know. What do you say?
Well, Andrew, boy, you're right, and you're right. But first, let me say that the most powerful sound that we can make for vibroacoustic experience is the hum, to begin with, okay? And in fact, if you want to try something goofy, and I also your listeners too, because everybody thinks they know about humming, try to hum and then just pinch your nose. I'm going to do it right now. You can't hum once your nose is pinched because your sinus cavity is vibrating. That means all the sound that you're making, as soon as you open your mouth, the sound starts going out of your mouth, even when you're doing an Om. But as a reality base, so that humming is the most powerful vibroacoustic experience that we can have. Now, with that being said, so we like to say that the simplest sound is the most profound. But with that being said, and this is really, really cool. So Andy and I are doing research into studying all sorts of different aspects of sound. And there's, among other people, there's a guy by the name of Swami Satchidananda. And he was the guru who opened up the Woodstock Festival back in 1969, and I happen to have been there, so I can tell you this is the truth.
Wow.
And I basically, Andy and I were teaching down at his center, which is in Virginia, and I happened to come across a copy of, there's a guy by the name of Patanjali's who lived thousands of years ago, but he wrote something called the Yoga Sutra, and almost every spiritual master has done their own translation of this. And I happened to open up to a page, and it was Sutra number 1.27, and it said, the original sound of creation was the humming of prana.
Oh, interesting.
They needed to give this humming of prana a name, so they called it Om.
Right. Wow. No, it's funny because literally, I think yesterday I went to the I ended up going to the Grand Canyon yesterday out of a fluke, and I listened to this audio by a woman by the name of Kristen Marie Sheldon called Unlimited Abundance, and somehow I was listening to one of her sessions, and it came out that there are different experiences that go on in your life, and they are created from certain places or people or things. And so she was clearing. She was doing the clearing, and when she did the clearing of from the root of where that issue came from. Well, and she from again, it could have been a person, or place, or thing. And so she cleared the initial creation, the initial thing that created that issue. She cleared that issue, or cleared that root as well. So that I thought, and what you're saying is connecting with me. So I don't know, maybe there's some kind of a psychic thing going on here. Who knows? But that's besides the point. So anyhow, so the root. Again, as I understand and know, the root of all sound is Om. Of all the sounds in the universe, it comes from the word Om. And you're saying that it came from prananaji, or what's the name of that word that you said?
Well, the word is pranava, And it's
Pranava.
Pranava, yeah. Prana is the Hindu or Sanskrit word for basically energy. So pranava literally means the humming of energy. And, all your astrophysicists nowadays basically talk about the sound of creation as being the hum. So we just found it so very, very interesting. So you can say that the Om came from the hum. And in fact, in our book, we have different ways of humming. And one of the first things we recommend is people start with an Om. And so as opposed to going Om, 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 they go Om.
And then into the humming sound. It makes it a lot easier. But, one of the major pieces of working with sound is intention. And
intention.
I have to talk about intention, because when we are consciously humming, part of, breathing is important. We have a whole chapter in our book on breath, but also the intention that we are focusing on while we are humming is absolutely very powerful. And I just have to say that I think, Jonathan, it was back in the 80s when you were doing your research on sound that you came up with a formula: frequency plus intention equals healing.
Now, Andrew, if I can just tell you the story about how that happened, because I think it's so important. Okay,
Well,
so
before you do that, I want to tell you something, and you're absolutely correct, Andy. And assuming you wrote this, Jonathan. Years ago, I was in Sedona. There was a guy by the name of Melchizedek, and he was talking about the indigo kids, the very evolved beings that are very psychic and very intelligent and very intuitive. And he was saying that the way that they heal people and the way that they manifest, again, is through intention, and which is and we're talking about intention coming from the heart, heart-based energy that they send through their arm or their hand. And when they're working on somebody through magnetic heating, they're sending that love energy through their arm, their fingers, their hands, and then they're emanating that energy onto the person that they want to heal, or if they want to manifest something, it's the same process, same procedure. So I agree with you 100%. So now, what's your story? What are you talking about, Jonathan?
Andrew, you were mentioning all these different frequencies that people are saying do this or do that. And let me tell you, I have been researching this now for about 40 years. And 40 years ago, people were saying that these different frequencies did this or that. And in fact, I was basically putting all this information, you can't see me, but if I'm holding my hands about a foot apart, and I had about a foot's worth of different papers piled on top of each other, and they were different systems and different frequencies that people would use for healing. Different doctors using particular frequencies for different healing, different organs, different spiritual masters using different mantras for different chakras. And, once again, I told you, I came from a family of doctors, and, I basically said, okay, this is all going to fit in really nicely in one particular ballpark, but it didn't happen. These different frequencies were not necessarily in agreement with each other. Spiritual master A would be using a particular frequency for, healing one chakra. Spiritual master B would be using a totally different frequency or mantra for the same chakra or a different chakra. And Dr. X would be using a particular frequency for healing an organ, and Dr. Y would be using a totally different frequency for the same organ. And they would all be claiming success. And let me tell you, my friend, this was too long ago for anybody to really care about trying to make money. So I knew that they were basically claiming success because that was what was happening. But at the same time, I was sitting in front of my computer, and I was in a state of intellectual angst. I thought, how could this possibly be? How could this possibly be? All these different frequencies working, how could this possibly be? And I heard this inner voice, And the voice said, it is not only the frequency of the person making and receiving the sound, it is also the intention of the person who is making and receiving the sound. And I wrote down the words frequency plus intent equals healing. And
Right.
I think that is more relevant now than when I first came into it 40 years ago. And although 40 years ago, when I was trying to talk to different scientists, they would poo-poo me and go, no, that's ridiculous.
Right.
All these scientists are basically doing their own research, and whether it's Masaru Emoto or Drumvalo or Bruce Lipton or whomever,
Right.
there are all these people talking about the power of intention, and I really give thanks for that.
Yeah, exactly. And what happened to me several years ago in Sedona, I had this really I was waking up and I had this really angelic woman's voice saying synthesis, the word synthesis, and check how, and you probably already know, there's the frequency that's connected to the color, that's connected to the astrological sign, that's connected to a person, and then all that with intention is connected to healing, to manifestation, to a personality. I mean, all kinds of stuff. So and I mean, there's so much out there right now, potential, and that's what's been happening to me lately. In the last several weeks, I've been coming across all kinds of healing qualities, healing things that help with cancer, with diabetes, with heart disease, with all kinds of and stuff, including sound. In fact, I just put this on Facebook. Revitalized biogenic water that can help with cancer and diabetes and all kinds of anopate, which is colostrum, the root based out of colostrum, that's helpful for all that. And then I was reading another article on cannabis oil or what they call it, the other THC oil that helps with the instantaneously or immediately with cancer, with all the other diseases as well. Eventually, Jonathan and Andy, we're not going to have to fight so hard anymore because we're going to be cured of all diseases soon. And I think it's around the corner. Mankind is just going to say enough is enough, and let's get rid of all the diseases. And they can do it now. I already know they can do it now. They can cure all diseases right now and not even think about it. I already know that somewhere in the loop there, in there, all diseases can be cured, all of them, every last one of them. And again, it's all about finances. It's all about economics. People want to just profit on all this stuff instead of trying to be of service and help people. Now, so with the humming effect, are you just saying just hum, or is there? Because I know there's different types of sound that there are people that I work with in Tantra that have different sounds that they use to hum into people's different chakra systems to help them heal of various things. Is that what we're talking about, or are we talking about a general hum? What are we talking about?
Okay, now listen, one of our books, Chakra Frequencies, was subtitled The Tantra of Sound. So we know a whole lot about that, and there certainly are different what they call bija mantras that can be used to resonate the different chakras, but we've taken it one step even easier. And one step even easier in terms of if you focus your intention while you are humming. And we always tell people that when they do this, find yourself a comfortable seat where you can make sound and not be disturbed for 5 minutes. And Andrew, I'm going to ask you that, when you have time and or anybody...
No, let's do it right now, Jonathan. No, wait. Let's do it now. So what shows what we're talking about?
Okay, so we are basically going to just do 5 minutes of humming, and we're going to have a little bit of assistance with that, but just give me a moment. And what I'd like first to do is simply begin to take some nice deep breaths in.
And just focus on your breathing. That's a really important step when we're talking about conscious humming. we want to do those deep diaphragmatic breaths, that belly breathing. And as you begin to focus on your breathing in and breathing out and feeling any stress or tension in your body just melting away with each breath.
And then as you're doing this, with your eyes closed, check yourself out first before we make a sound and see how you're feeling. And then see if you can project an intention of what you would like to receive from this. Sometimes the hum, because it's sacred, will just do it on its own. But we always like to suggest that it's always nice to basically put some sort of intention onto the sound, whether it's relaxing or, just going and releasing pain or whatnot. Just make sure that if you're listening to this, we do not want you driving in a car when you're doing this or operating a machine. And, okay, so now we're going to do this for about 5 minutes. So let's all, so you, me, Andy, and we got a little bit of help from this. So
we'll just close our eyes and begin to continue breathing, and then we'll
take a nice deep breath and just hum together.
And then we'll hum
Here we
together.
Go.
Ready?
Keeping your eyes closed. Just do a couple more now. We'll do 3 more. Just one more. And because this is radio, Andrew, I'm going to basically talk, but I'm just going to ask anybody who's been humming along with us just to be in a state of silence, checking themselves out. I've been doing enough of this humming so that I can still talk and basically be in 2 places at one time. But for a lot of people, when they consciously hum like this for the first time, it can be really, really powerful. They can feel really relaxed. They can it can almost be like a psychotropic experience. It's so powerful because you get all these different neurochemicals that are being released and all these different intentions that are basically being amplified by sound, by this sacred sound. How are you feeling?
I feel a whole lot better. My breathing is better. My sinuses are a little bit better. They're because I've been having this ongoing drainage going on, and then I'm feeling more relaxed. So it's like a meditation for me.
Oh, thank you for sharing that, Andrew, and I hope that our listeners have had a similar experience. And it's interesting because I'm holding our book, The Humming Effect, and there's a quote by Bruce Lipton on the back, and it essentially says it's a powerful, non-pharmaceutical prescription for self-healing that has only positive side effects, such as harmony, health, and happiness. So I hope that our listeners felt some of that. I know Jonathan and I actually have our humming practice, and it is, in our research, we did find that if you can hum for at least 5 minutes, that it takes about 5 minutes for the effect to really go, deep into our cells. But even if you can hum for 30 seconds, for 1 minute, you can begin to feel better and more balanced. So I hope that.
So it took me about a minute, maybe less than a minute, for it to kick in the effect, the heating effect, and then I was feeling a lot better after that. So you're saying 5 minutes a day to do this humming, and that will help people heal. And of course, you want to make an intention when you do this humming as well as part of the process to help you heal, to relax, to manifest. I don't know if this will help with manifestation, but you maybe even
that.
that.
You betcha it will. You betcha it will.
So what's the main ingredient? What's the main intention that you want to let people know with this book? What is it that you really want them to understand and know about humming, about the humming effect, about this book, about Jonathan Andi Goldman?
Okay, Andrew, great question, and it basically is that everybody can use sound for healing and transformation. Andy, would you agree?
Absolutely, and what I like so much, and I think the message that I want to share with people is that we can all hum, and we have within us the power to shift and change our consciousness, shift and change our emotional state. We can do that through humming. So for me, it's very empowering. And, you can just about be anywhere and feel like, ooh, I would love to talk to my therapist right now, but I really can't. But wait a minute, I can hum.
Right. It's really, I mean, just the simplest thing is that you can be feeling stressed out, and you do a couple minutes of humming, and all of a sudden you feel good. I mean, that's on a level the easiest thing for people to do, and yet at the same time we have seen. All right, here's a story. I have to tell this story because we talked about a wonderful mom who is 94, and I'm going to go back some years. This is after I got my degree from Lesley University, and I was basically in a PhD program in the psychophysiology of sound, and I basically wanted to show that you could make new connections in the brain by self-created sounds. Unfortunately, my first book came out, and it became so well known that I basically went on tour, and I basically dropped out of the program. Well, here in with the humming effect, in Chapter 8, we have something called the humming hypothesis, which, Andrew, I tell you, is so important because now there's more and more details about, scientifically proven about how sound can basically work with everything from Alzheimer's to, here's a quick story, which is that Andy's mom had a stroke. And we are both very vocally conscious, and we heard her voice, and it basically started getting a little bit less functional, and we could tell something was yeah.
She began to slur her words, and it was really we knew. I mean, obviously that it was from the stroke, and she is very aware of our work with sound, and she's in her cultural context of her age. She doesn't totally understand it like we do, but we said, Mother, what we want you to do is to ask the doctor, find out what part of your brain the stroke occurred in, and then we want you to hum. We want you to hum and visualize and imagine that sound is going up into that part of your brain where the stroke occurred. And being the good sport that she is, she said, okay, I'm going to do this. So she started humming and visualizing and focusing that sound.
And Andrew, she didn't actually say okay, because her speech was a little more, shall we say, less vibrant than that. It was a little slurry. But within 3 days, as we're talking to her, the next day, and I'm saying, Ma Betty, that's what I call her, I say, are you doing your humming? Yes, I am, Jonathan. I say, okay, keep going. And then, I say, so how's your humming going? Well, it's feeling a little better. I said, good, keep going. And the next day, the third day, I said, Ma Betty, how's it going? She goes, well, my speech feels a whole lot better, and it was back to normal. Andrew, I can't say for sure that
I'm going to add another testimonial to your humming effect, because I got a woman on I don't know, about 2 or 3 years ago, and I think she was living in Hawaii, and she was getting that. She was coming up. She was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. And she said that she started toning, and you know what toning is? It's another form of humming.
Sure.
If you ask me.
Exactly.
But she started doing toning, and before you know it, the Alzheimer's disease was going away. I don't know if it completely went away, but she was doing much better than she had been prior to with the diagnosis. So I believe that you guys are onto something. And I think she is too. I think that humming and also toning can be very effective with any autoimmune system or diseases. Period. I don't know, but I think that there's some research that needs to be done in those areas.
Well, A, we got to agree with you. B, if you ever read the 8th chapter of the book, or it might be the 7th, called The Humming Hypothesis, it talks about neurogenesis and how humming can be used for Alzheimer's, stroke, and all sorts of neurological imbalances. And, once again, this has not been researched the way we would like it to be, and that's simply because a lot. Believe it or not, a lot of the research in the book came from India and Nepal, because those are places where, in the U.S., if things aren't pharmacologically oriented, they're oftentimes going to do less research. But we really trust that very soon we're going to have this incredible power of being able to create neurogenesis, new connections in our brain, simply through intention and making our own self-created sounds.
And Andrew, that's one of the reasons that we wrote this book, and that we hope that this information can get out, because more research definitely needs to be done. But the humming effect hopefully is a start to really begin to open up people's consciousness to the power of self-created sounds and of course humming. So we hope that this book will be very educational as well as helpful in healing.
This is what I think needs to happen. I think we need to get one of those chairs, one of those sound healing chairs, and play some music that has a lot of 528 hertz frequencies playing, so we can get the love energy and also the 720 energy, and then we should drink some of the revitalized biogenic water, and also take some of that cannabis oil, and then take a thing of the Anatobe colostrum, and then start humming, and then I'll bet you I can almost and then we haven't even got the color yet, or astrology yet to determine in advance what kind of diseases people will gain or get further in life. But anyhow, we can start humming, and I can almost bet you that people can be healed of cancer, of heart disease, of Alzheimer's, of strokes, all kinds of stuff. I think and again, I assume there won't be any disease on Earth. I mean, we'll be able to be healed of everything. I'm sure. And it's already been predicted. It's already been prophesied, and it's just a matter of time. I don't know when, but and possibly on our lifetime. I think it's a good possibility. But I think this humming effect is definitely in the right direction for that. And I want to thank both of you for stopping by and sharing this valuable information. I gotta say I didn't really think much about the humming because I've been busy with other stuff, but that's why I wanted to do it now. And it really, like I said, it made a difference with my sinuses, with my just relaxing, and with my breathing. Right now, that's really important. Breathing, and if you already probably know about Deepak Chopra's book on healing. Breath, air, oxygen are the most important qualities to healing of everything, period. So if you're not breathing correctly or properly or enough oxygen, then things are going to start breaking down. So for me, I think I need to look at the idea of humming 5 minutes every day just so I can get myself back into that. Into a good
well, that's beautiful. We're going to end with one last thing. There's something called Brahmari pranayama. Now, pranayama is the actual, in the Sanskrit tradition, so Deepak Chopra was certainly taking this from the tradition that he came from, but it's basically breathing. It's the science of breath. Now, Brahmari is simply the Sanskrit word for humming bee. So basically, it's a way of breathing while you are humming. So it's, once again, putting the exact same thing that you were talking about, breath and humming together, and boy, is it powerful. In fact, they talk about one of these effects of it, that it's good for Alzheimer's and all the other things. Go check out our book, The Humming Effect. You know, it was recently on Amazon as one of the new releases that was there for the new release for about number one new release for about 3 weeks. We couldn't believe it. We're hoping for a humming revolution.
A humming revolution. And Andrew, also, if people want to find out more information about humming and about us, our website is healingsounds.com, and we have got just a ton of information on sound as a healing modality, and just really appreciate you, Andrew, for this opportunity to bring this information to our listening audience, and really just thank you so very much. It's really been fabulous to be able to share this information.
I want to let you know, when I started taking the revitalized biogenic water, it took about 2 weeks for me to start feeling that effect. When I started taking the colostrum by Inovate, it took me 30 minutes, and inside 1 minute, I felt the effects of the humming. Literally, I kid you not. So I want to thank both of you. And,
Andrew, thank you for sharing that. That touches my heart.
I kid you not.
Totally.
Jenny, I want to thank both of you for stopping by. I want to thank all of you for stopping by. Have a God-Goddess week. Be the love that you are, always have been, and always will be. Aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha and mahalo.